Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 77 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. I love that we're getting into the 70s now of our episodes because 77 made me think like Love Gun era, Live 2. I don't know why I didn't think of that last time with Rock and Roll Over and all that with episode 76. But either way, we're here having a good time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Today is going to be our review of the pay-per-view finally.
Yep.
I feel like we're probably like the last Kiss podcast to get to it. But today we're going to be talking about the pay-per-view, the final pay-per-view that was, the final show as well, that took place in New York City on December 2nd. And we're going to even talk about some of the stuff that happened after the show and touch on that a little bit. And so thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope everybody's doing okay. I know it's been a really wild December so far. It's been a wild past couple weeks, starting with, again, Paul's sickness and the flu and the show's being canceled. And then the shows come back and we're on this, big high. And then there's the takeover in New York City and the final show and, the news afterwards. And so it's just the new era. And so it's been a wild roller coaster of emotion. So whether you're happy or sad or confused or worried or excited or, whatever you're feeling, we got you. We're here. We're glad you're with us. So Daphne, how are you? You got some tea today?
I got some tea today. I'm so sorry I wasn't feeling the money bag. So we've got our little Kiss Army Nation mug again.
Yeah,
shout out to
Pasquale and Claudio. Absolutely, from the Kiss Army Nation podcast. I am drinking Blood Orange.
Blood Orange is so good.
Moneybag soda, and so we got to try this for the first time around Halloween, a little before that. And then when I was heading up to Rosemont before that, I bought a big old case of Moneybag soda just for the Rosemont trip.
Yeah.
And so you see everybody in the video drinking Moneybag. That was really cool.
Such a good video.
But before I put the money back in the cooler and brought it into the hotel, I put back the Blood Orange and kept that hidden for us because I was like, I just gotta have the Blood Orange. It's a hot commodity.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I've been talking this whole time. Now I'm going to sip on it.
Yeah, very, very good.
Very good. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. No Kiss Spotlight today, technically, because the Spotlight is kind of the pay-per-view, right? I mean, the pay-per-view.
That's what we've been kind of focused on.
That's the Kiss media that we've been watching and listening to or whatever the most recently. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this first.
Go for it.
Because obviously I watched it first before Jeb, and watched it, live as it was happening. And so I'll just kind of talk about my thoughts for a minute and my experience watching it because it was a very, very weird night. And obviously, you had prior commitments, so you weren't able to watch it with me.
I watched the last third of it. I would say I did come in for the last good handful of songs.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I did miss the pre-show and the first over half of the show for sure.
Right, and then Jeb, of course, living in Illinois, wasn't able to make it down to Indiana.
Yeah, was he watching it live as well though?
He was trying to, but he was working a double shift at work,
okay.
And he did buy it, and I think he was able to watch some of it live as he was working.
That's funny.
But he wasn't able to focus on it because he was working, So he did what he could. I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it at all, really.
Oh, really?
So I don't really know his. I mean, we've texted, but that's it.
Yeah.
I haven't talking or spoken to him about it, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
But so Jeb obviously not being here, and you not being here, it was just me. So I actually filmed the last episode by myself, and then got working on editing that, and then started the pay-per-view. So that was my day. And it was a really, like I said, a weird night because I'm always usually celebrating Kiss with somebody.
Right.
And so the vibes were a little weird just because it was just me.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, sit back and relax and enjoy the last Kiss show by myself.
Yeah.
And so I turned the pay-per-view on, and I was really surprised at how easy it was to work the pay-per-view. I think some others may have had some technical difficulties, but for me, it was rather smooth. I did make an error in the beginning, I think, by refreshing the page or hitting a button or whatever, but that was a user error, so I really can't blame them for that. But it was really just as simple as going to the website and logging in, clicking on the event, and hitting enter once your ticket was confirmed, which was that. So
yeah, and I feel I've heard that a lot of people had some issues with buffering and lagging, things like that. I don't feel like we really did, unless it happened before I got home, but I feel there were other technical issues that we'll get to, but as far as the streaming itself, I don't feel like there was any issues.
Yeah, I mean, the only real issue that I noticed was the audio between the pre-show and the audio in the pre-recorded interviews
Yeah,
was
exactly.
obviously, a little bit different. The interviews were a lot quieter, but I had no idea they were even doing a pre-show.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
I
didn't know
just,
either. I had no idea what this was going to look like. I didn't know if they were going to show Amber Wild set or if there would be interviews, how it
yeah,
would look. So it's kind of a shock.
yeah, I didn't think they would show Amber Wild's set, but it looked like this pre-show that took place like right immediately afterwards
Yeah,
or soon afterwards,
yeah.
because the way it took place, it was on Paul's B stage.
Mhm,
Was you had, I think her name was Allison,
mhm.
and she ended up having like Chris Angel and Desmond Child come out for a little bit and just talk about their, either in Chris's case his fandom, or in Desmond's case his songwriting and his
That
friendship with
collaboration.
Paul Stanley,
Mhm.
and thanking Kiss and thanking Paul for kind of giving him the life that he has in the career, and that was a
Yeah.
really cool moment. But I had no idea there was going to be a pre-show, which I actually thought was kind of cool
Mhm.
because I was like, okay, I'm just going to turn it on, and then I'm assuming the show's going to start,
Yeah.
or it's going to show something really quick before it starts. But no, we got about an hour or so of, pre-show hype, which again, ideally it was cool,
Yeah.
but
Conceptually.
conceptually it was cool. But I mean, I'll be honest, just my feelings throughout the whole thing were just, it was kind of cringe.
Yeah.
Which, no disrespect to Allison,
Or guns.
yeah,
I'm
or,
sorry.
or guns, but it just, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it felt like I was having flashbacks to the Teen Choice Awards from '06,
Yeah.
and I was waiting for somebody to get slimed. You know what I mean? I was like, "Where's the slime at? Where's the Nickelodeon
Yeah, I
and
definitely got those
all
vibes.
of that?" Which, again, no disrespect to Allison and Guns, because I think they were just hired to do that,
By PPV,
probably by
not by Kiss, I
PPV.
don't think.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think Kiss had any affiliation with it. So
No.
it looked like this whole thing was being put on, and you could tell it was being put on by the pay-per-view
Yeah.
as opposed to, a Kiss thing. Because
Yeah.
I
That
felt
was
like,
very evident.
yeah, because I mean, you would think that if Kiss were themselves doing it, that they would get somebody who's maybe a little more relevant. Because how cool would it have been to have had, Dave Grohl or Corey Taylor, or an
Chris
actual
Jericho.
Chris Jericho would have been an
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
host. Like
Oh, that would have
those,
been my
that would
ideal,
have
I
been a,
think.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, why not have somebody who's not only an actual Kiss fan, lifelong Kiss fan, diehard Kiss fan, but somebody who's also well known
Yeah,
in pop culture or in music or just in general.
definitely.
For Chris Jericho, be both pop culture, wrestling, and
And
music.
the
But
music world, yeah.
no, that would be so cool. If Sebastian Bach was there at the
Oh, he would
show.
have been so good too.
That would have been really cool because
Yeah.
he's so animated, he's so hype, and he's a huge Kiss fan. So I felt like it would have made more sense to have had an actual Kiss fan or somebody who was well known to Kiss fans to actually bridge that gap, because it did feel a little disingenuous
Yeah.
having, and no offense to Allison, because she is actually a journalist. She actually does this for a living and has for 20 years, interviewing artists and musicians, and then doing this. But it just seemed like she was sort of being pushed or geared by the pay-per-view to be as animated and as millennial as
Just
possible,
over the top,
and
yeah.
it was very millennial Gen Z, sort of like, you
Yeah.
had Guns like, yeah, man, we're Kiss, and it's like,
It was
that's not
so
what
overhyped
we
in
do.
in in not a real way. I don't know.
Yeah,
It just the whole thing, like you said, felt very disingenuous. It felt like there was a disconnect the whole time. Like, are we talking about the same band? Because this doesn't feel. It
yeah,
just
I liked her outfit. Her outfit was cool.
yeah,
It was a
custom dress,
custom
yeah,
Kiss dress. That
it's
was
neat.
cool. Obviously, we know Chris Angel is a huge Kiss fan. Desmond Child, we already know his relevance and importance to Kiss history. So yeah, that stuff was kind of cool. But I just kind of was wondering, why it was the way it was when it could have been something, way cooler. But I don't know. I don't even think most of the people that were there actually cared,
No, or
because the people there were talking to their friends, and they were either probably out buying
yeah,
merch and doing all that.
meeting up with
It
people
was literally just for
for
the
the
people at
yeah.
home.
And I also feel like we've heard from people that were there that you couldn't really hear much of what was going on anyway.
Mm,
So even if you were trying to pay attention to what was happening on Paul's stage, the
yeah.
audio was not great in the building. So they just kind of ignored it because they couldn't tell what was happening anyway.
Right, yeah,
So
which
it was for the people at home for sure.
absolutely. And I mean, again, it was kind of cool having it taking place on Paul's B
Oh,
stage
I love that
with the
idea.
star,
Yeah.
and just all that. But it could have been a lot cooler. But for me, the best part about that pre-show was when they brought out Evan, Nick, and
Yes,
Sophie,
100%.
and they had the Kiss Kids come out.
Yeah.
and you got to just have this really nice, candid moment with the three of them because I don't think I've ever seen all three of them together
Yeah.
like that, talking about Kiss, talking about their dads,
Yeah.
all three in the same room like that. I mean, it was totally crazy.
And it ended up being four
Yes,
because we
because they
ended
added
up,
Sierra,
yes, we ended up getting to see Tommy's daughter,
which
which is really cool.
which was an incredible surprise
Yeah.
because they were like, "We're bringing somebody else out." I was like, "Oh no! Did Paul pop out one more?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Did Paul have another? Did Eric finally have kids settle down and like
Yeah.
Eric with his little baby cat man? I was like, what's going on here?"
He's so cute.
And they brought out Sierra, and I was like, "Whoa!
Yeah.
Unexpected!" Now because that was really cool
That was
because
a
that
very
was
cool
one of the
moment.
craziest things to happen on this end of the road tour that had nothing to do with the band
Right.
because it was like, hey, Tommy posted, hey, meet my daughter Sierra,
Yeah, who
like
I just met.
who I just met.
Yeah.
Apparently she had done a DNA test
Yeah.
and was able to get in contact with a cousin on his side, and then through them was able to meet up and
So awesome.
start this father-daughter relationship that for
As an
whatever
adult, like
reason,
she's already like
yeah.
she's probably in her 30s, something like that.
And I love it because you can totally tell it's Tommy. It's like she's so professional.
Yeah, she
She's
has his
so
mannerisms.
upright. His mannerism.
Yep.
She's so well spoken. And then didn't she say that she had served or
Yeah.
was serving
Yep,
or
she's a
whatever?
veteran. Yep.
She's a veteran, so she had served. And then of course Tommy's dad
Yeah.
was a general in the World War II, I believe. And
That's so
so
cool. It's crazy how
how
like
crazy
you don't
she had no idea.
yeah, you
She
don't
had
even
no
know each
idea.
other and yet she still has those mannerisms
It's in
and
the
some of
blood.
those ties. That's just really really cool stuff.
I wonder if she wears platform boots and plays guitar. No,
Probably not.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But anyway, yeah, I love the pre-show. I thought the pre-show was cool, even though there were some parts that I just wish could have been better. It was still a welcome surprise, and it gave us a little bit more to sink our teeth into. Again, the interview with Evan and Nick and Sophie was absolutely incredible. Them talking about how proud of their dads they
Yeah,
were,
that part was
and
very
they said,
genuine.
I don't care if they're pumping gas or doing whatever. The fact that for 50 years they stuck to what they were doing,
Right.
and they also showed up to be our dads.
Yeah.
They were dads that even though yes they were on the road a lot and doing what they did, they still were in our lives. They still raised us to be who we
They
are.
said like drove us to school and all
Drove
that
us to
stuff. I'm
school,
like,
dropped us off,
I
and
love
I
that.
loved all the home videos you saw
Yeah.
on Family Jewels before and after commercials. That was just, I don't know, it was so cool. And so I was getting flashbacks of that.
Hmm.
I thought that was just really, really neat. So following the pre-show, we go into the show, but it was a little bit of an awkward start because all of a sudden the live feed for the pre-show starts, and Allison's like, "What are we doing? Uh, get ready, guys, to And she starts talking, and then da 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 da, and then Kiss goes on,
Yeah, there was a lot of moments like
and
that where they didn't cut the cameras in time or didn't tell her what the plan was, and even though I definitely don't think she was necessarily the right person for the job, I did feel really bad for her a lot of different
well, I'll
times
tell you what, she did
because
a good job of handling it
she
because
did, yeah, but it just was really uncomfortable.
yeah, so again, this is not Kiss. This is all pay per view.
Yeah.
So, but I was just kind of like at home, kind of laughing, a little bit. And I thought it was even funny too when Led Zeppelin started playing, but they had to cut Led Zeppelin and put I think
Yeah,
a Love
instrumental.
Gun instrumental
Yeah.
because they don't have it makes total sense.
Of course.
But it was just really fun, and I was like, ooh, okay. So I almost got distracted listening to this instrumental of Love Gun,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell if it was the original or if it was the because it didn't sound like either the original or the Sonic Boom re-record,
Interesting.
but it had to have been
Might
the
have been
Sonic
one of the
Boom.
two.
Had to
Yeah.
have been Sonic Boom. No, not the Sonic Boom, but the Kiss Classics
Right.
re-record that came with Sonic Boom. But either way, so after that, we see the video of Kiss. Um, Curtain drops, stage explodes, and pretty much from there on out, we get a tried and true, straight ahead Kiss show.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was kind of waiting for like a song maybe that they don't usually play to happen, and it didn't. So that kind of felt weird. But I mean, it was still a great show, and it was still Kiss as we know it. But I do think there were a lot of fans, myself included, that were waiting around for this one magical moment.
Yeah.
Which, depending on what you felt, the magical moment, the big moment, didn't happen until after the show
Yeah.
because there was obviously more focus put on that, and the transition, if you will. But I do agree with some fans where we were kind of waiting around for this special moment where either you were going to see Gene and Paul crying together or you were going to hear them like, again, play a song, just one song that they never usually play, and it didn't happen. And so it was kind of weird. But again, it was very much a straight ahead, tried and true Kiss show. Nothing really special, nothing really not special. It was just a Kiss
Just a
show,
good Kiss show.
just a good Kiss
Yeah.
show. For me, I think the most emotional moments happened before and after the show. I mean,
Hmm.
again, talking about the pre-show with, getting to see Sierra, hear her talk, and then seeing Evan, Nick, and Sophie, and just praising their dads, and just enjoying the night, and enjoying their career, their dad's career, and saying, yeah, our dads are kind of cool. We grew up and realized, yeah, our dads are kind of cool. That stuff was really, really cool. And then, of course, after the show, when Gene is like nearly in tears, just looking around and taking it all in and out of breath, the makeup smearing, and he hugs Nick and talks to Nick, and Nick shows him his tattoo, and
Yeah.
Sophie says, "I'm really proud of you, Dad," and he goes, "Don't do that," because then
Aw.
he's fighting back the tears, and so it was clearly more about the emotional weight of things as opposed to oh, what's Kiss gonna do now, because I mean, let's face it, they kind of spent this whole tour doing the most and being the
Yeah.
most. They didn't really do a good job at putting a cap on it per se. Would it have killed them to have played like Strutter, the first song on their first album?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have killed them at all. But they, I don't think, were willing to break the mold for this one show and risk anything going wrong. Which I mean, sounds kind of lazy. Yes, I do agree, but I think Rob was, or somebody was telling me that they had to start Hotter Than Hell 4 times over during sound check
Oh, really?
in Rosemont,
Yeah.
which we saw Hotter Than Hell in Dayton
Hmm.
during the sound check, and it was fine.
Yeah, it
But
was great.
for whatever reason, whether it was Eric or I think it was Paul, maybe it wasn't in time, but for whatever, that Paul had to restart the song 4 times over during sound check. And that's Hotter Than Hell. That's a song that they played for a long time, and it's been out since '74,
Yeah.
and they couldn't even get that one right. So, do you really want to risk playing a difference, even if it's rehearsed? Like, I mean, I think Gene flubbed the lyrics to Deuce.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Um,
I didn't notice it for my first watch through, but I did hear people say
Yeah,
that.
which I mean, Gene's always flubbing lyrics,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really bother me there. That's how you know it was a Kiss show, because
Right.
Gene's flubbing lyrics.
Classic.
But I mean, it just kind of makes me think like, yeah, they probably didn't want to you know give any wiggle room for anything to go wrong, because there's already things that can go wrong
Yeah.
during Kiss shows. I mean, just on this tour alone, I can think of when we saw him in Cincinnati. Paul, when he flew out on the to the B stage, on his way back, the rig broke down halfway
Hmm.
through, and he's stuck just hanging over the crowd, and you can see him kind of like trying to push it forward with his
Oh my
momentum,
gosh.
and he's having fun with it, but it's a mistake. That shouldn't
Yeah.
happen. And then when Gene almost fell off the platform,
Yeah, that was scary.
that was
That was really
scary.
scary.
And those are things that are just happening in the regular show. So I don't think they were even willing to break the mold and do anything like that. And I was even wondering if there was going to be any like emotional moment on stage. There were a couple times where you could see Gene fighting back tears, like during "Do You Love Me." And although I think that was from the kidney stone, probably, who knows? Because I think Gene was having a rough night.
I think so too. He did a
Um,
very good job of hiding it, but
they always do.
yeah.
They always do. I think they were like, okay, we're Kiss, we're superheroes, we're larger than life, we're not humans. We need to go out and just do Kiss
Yeah.
and be Kiss and give everybody the show that they've known. They really didn't turn it into the Kiss Cruise or a Kiss Expo
Right.
or anything like that, where you would normally get a bunch of like rare stuff or whatever. This is still a concert for the masses, a pay-per-view that's being broadcast to the masses. Now, I do think the diehards should have gotten something a little more, but saying that makes me feel a little weird, because like, did we not get the most
Yeah. This
this
whole time.
whole tour?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you look at the set list and some of the songs that they were playing and taking out, and of course, adding in like "Making Love," and you got songs like "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," "Tears Are Falling," "Hide Your Heart." They played "Parasite" for us in Indianapolis,
Hmm.
and "Crazy Nights" was one of
Yeah.
our favorites, which was switched out for "Do You Love Me," and all these songs they're playing "Say Yeah," which is great. So they did a lot with the set list over the course of the tour. They added so much to the stage as the tour went on. and they had the full stage there in Madison Square Garden. There was no B stage, there was no triangles. It was the pods, and they had the Panthers and Sammy the Serpent, and all that stuff. I don't think they had the inflatables though.
Where?
The Garden.
Oh, did they not?
I don't know. Maybe they did, and I was distracted. But they had almost
I thought they
everything
did, but
else.
I'm not sure. We'll have to double check.
For sure. They had everything else, which was great. But yeah, so I do understand where a lot of fans are coming from, where it was like, there was one part that just felt kind of left out. But from what I've heard from those at the show, everybody had a great time.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of really good stuff about the show. Everybody had a really great time and they loved it, and it was really good to see all their friends. So yeah, I know you came in at the last third, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you take over and kind of give your thoughts on it and see. And what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, just so you guys know, I did go back and watch the part that I
Oh
missed.
yeah, we did
I
go.
didn't just
We
watch the last
we
third.
did go back
I've seen the whole thing.
and watch the pay-per-view
Yeah,
again after the fact to refresh and then get a really good sense of what happened for a review. So
yeah, yeah. I want to go back to the pre-show. I think like you said before, the concept was really really cool. I like that they did it. I wish it would have been executed a lot differently. Like you said, I completely agree. I wish the interviewer or whoever's in charge would have been somebody that Kiss fans know and that obviously knows what they're talking about. Again, I'm not trying to hate on Allison or anything. I think she did her best, but it was very scripted. I mean, she was reading off a teleprompter the whole time,
yeah,
and it didn't feel like she knew, and it's okay. She doesn't have to,
she
but
knew a little bit. She
she
did.
did know some.
As a journalist, she did some
She
research.
well, yes, but that's the difference.
Could,
She did research. That doesn't mean that
yeah,
she is a Kiss fan and knows all those little details. Which again, that's not her fault.
it's not
That's
her. It's not
just
her problem.
no, it's not her problem.
Her
But that's
job is to
just
do what she did.
who was hired. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish. I almost wish that Kiss would have found a way to do this without going through pay per view, and I don't think it would have been that hard. I
Okay, you
think
don't think so?
no, I
Okay.
think there's all kinds of other different like ways to stream things without going through that specific large company. I mean, I feel like maybe a few years ago that would have been harder, but I just I don't know exactly how that would have worked, but I feel like there's a way they could have done it more independently.
Hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of the control was kind of out of Kiss's hands
Yeah,
when they just kind of gave the reins over to PPV, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. I The whole pre-show just felt like kind of was just waiting for it to be over, honestly. Just because it was so forced and awkward. Like in the interviews, I really liked the idea of
oh, I forgot about
the
yeah.
yeah, the pre-shot interviews with Gene and Paul and Eric and Tommy. I liked those. I thought it was a cool idea. Um, I just honestly hated all of the interview questions.
They were all the same.
They were
How are you feeling?
so
How are you
basic.
feeling? How
Yeah.
was?
What do you want to say to your family? Like, what, like, I don't know. Would you have thought that you would have made it this far, as a young kid or whatever? And
It's like,
it's,
yes, Gene and
yeah, that's,
Paul were destined for
well,
success.
and you could tell it was scripted because she asked that question right after, and for both of them, right after they had both just told stories about how they knew that they were going to be big and like you know what I mean, and that they would, drive past Madison Square Garden saying, "One day I'm going to perform there." And she's like, "Did you ever see yourself doing this?" And he's like, in my head, I'm like, "What
I
did he
just
just
told
say?"
you.
So I didn't love that. I wish we would have had some more in-depth interview type of questions. Yeah, but that's whatever. I did really enjoy, like you said, I think the best part by far was all of the Kiss Kids coming
Mm.
out, because they almost kind of took over that little section and were just having a conversation between them, which was really, really cool. Chris Angel, it was okay. I thought it was cool that he was there.
I think he was hammered.
I was drunk, for sure.
I think he was hammered, and he was having a
Yeah,
he was having a rock and roll party.
which is great, but we didn't get much from that interview. He was just
Yeah,
there
no,
vibing. But I really did enjoy the Desmond Child interview. I
yes,
know some people might think that was kind of random, but I think it was really
no, that
cool.
was cool.
My favorite part of that was when he told a story. This blew my mind. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Beatles fan, massive. And he told this story about when he first met Paul Stanley. He was performing at, I don't know, some small venue somewhere. And Paul like sneaks his head around the curtain before the show starts or something, and introduces himself. First of all, this is in the 70s before Kiss has been unmasked. And he's like, by the way, I'm Paul Stanley from Kiss, which no one had ever seen him without makeup before. So that alone is cool. And then he was like, also, just so you know, George Harrison is like on the front row.
Yeah.
What?
Have a good show.
My jaw dropped. I was like, you're telling me that in the 70s, Paul Stanley and George Harrison were in the same room? I just
And
that
Desmond Child on
and
stage.
Desmond Child, of course, but
Yeah.
like that knowledge just blew my mind. I'm like, did they speak? Like, I want to
Yeah,
know.
there's got to be. I would
Ugh.
love to ask the members of Kiss about their experiences meeting the Beatles
Yeah.
because I feel like it would be like talking to a Kiss fan about meeting Kiss
Yeah.
because that was their Kiss, that was their, that's where they came from.
Yeah, because I feel like I know that we have a photo of Paul and Ringo. Is that the only?
Gene has said that he's met both Ringo and Paul
Okay.
McCartney.
I don't think I've seen photos of
No,
anything other than that awesome photo from just a few years ago of Paul Stanley and Ringo. I think Paul went to
that
a
was like
Ringo
10
show.
years ago, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I hate that that's the only one. I just need to see a photo of Paul and Paul together. I could die happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was really cool. I really liked Desmond. Desmond is just such a good storyteller, and even just the couple minutes that he was on stage, I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, I really feel like those interviews with Chris and Desmond could have been a lot better, a lot more in depth if somebody else was doing the interview.
Yeah.
Because again, I think we've kind of covered it, but the questions and the tone and the vibes were just so forced and so over the top
And so, like,
that it's like pump the brakes and be normal, be chill.
they were so superficial and, like, surface level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, they're just really generic questions that you could ask anybody, like any band, any artist, like it would convert over to them. It was nothing specific, nothing like I don't know, nothing that cut deep. And I just think of other interviewers, even on YouTube, that I've seen, that just ask really hard hitting, like really specific, deep cut kind of questions. That when the celebrity hears the question, they're like, "Oh wow, how'd you know that? Great question. I've never gotten that before."
Mm,
That's what I want in an interview.
yeah.
And so I'm like, we didn't get any new
The Kiss
information.
interviews are pretty much always cut and dry. I mean, Gene even talked about, the kid on his shoulder, which he means it every time, but he's always said about
Yeah,
the multi-generational, and he sheds a tear. It's like, yeah, we get it. We know.
yeah.
And all that.
I just would have loved to have gotten just a small nugget of some new information. You know what I mean?
What I thought was, and I'm glad you brought this up because I kind of forgot about the interviews with the guys, and by far my favorite was the one with both Tommy and Eric.
I know.
I
Yeah,
think they should have been separate and had their own,
yeah. That kind of
but
made
of
me sad.
but of course they were going to be lumped together. But because they were lumped together, you got to see
Their
their
dynamic.
dynamic.
Agreed.
And
I did enjoy that.
Tommy was so loose and so cool and so
Yeah.
chill. I mean, Tommy's always cool and chill,
Yeah.
but you never really hear Tommy like talk and joke and laugh in extended, periods of time
Yeah.
because he's usually, I mean, if Gene and Paul are doing an interview, they're going to be the ones talking slash being the ones asked questions.
Yeah.
So Tommy, he'll just look cool and he'll talk when he needs to, and that's fine. But because it was just Tommy and Eric in the interview, you got this really nice, cool, loose vibe with Eric and Tommy, seeing them be friends, laughing,
Yeah.
talking, joking. Eric was talking about how he was a Kiss fan in '74, watching or seeing Kiss the first photo in the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
saying that band's cool. Talking about going to see Peter and Ace. They both gave props to Peter and
They
Ace.
did. They like went out of their way to do that, which
Yeah,
was
because
cool.
Gene and Paul, they were focused on other things. They weren't
Yeah.
worried about, naming off every single member and every single person who's, da 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 da.
Yeah.
You know,
And they don't need to. It's
and they
okay.
don't. Yeah, well, I mean, the fans know, so it is what it is. But I loved it when Tommy and Eric were like, yeah, Peter and Ace, dude, we're here because of them. We love
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah.
That was my Kiss. Eric's like, dude, I was there in the first tour.
Yeah. That's what made them a fan.
I got kicked out of the show, and I wish we could hear Tommy's origin because we know Eric's origins, but I wish Tommy would have talked about it. But Tommy was even talking about the special um, relationship between Gene and Eric,
Yes. Oh, I
and
love that because
this.
we all like have witnessed that, but to hear it like talked about because he even called it kind of like a father son type of relationship, which
Yeah,
is very interesting.
well, Tommy said that Eric looks up to Gene like a dad,
Yeah.
and then Eric said that Gene kind of does the same thing with Eric, where they
Hmm.
both had like a I look up to you kind of thing, or
Yeah.
I admire you.
Yeah.
Gene's always had cool relationships with the Kiss drummers.
I know.
He and Peter, and then he and Eric
Eric
Carr,
Carr.
And then, of course, him and Eric
Yeah,
Singer.
it's always the big one and the little one.
It's the big guy and the little guy. Yeah, exactly. They
I
always
love
have
it.
their moments.
I always think about there's a photo of Gene and Eric where they're like holding hands. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Eric says underwear. Yeah,
Yes, but they have the makeup on. It's so funny.
yeah,
I
yeah. And
love
there's
them.
there's a couple photos like that
Yeah,
too.
there are.
And I just love that relationship. So I think for me, the more special moments were the ones that happened like in and around the show, as
Yeah.
opposed to what was actually happening on stage, which was very much just tried and true Kiss.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention about the section with the kids was they were talking about music and Evan's band Amber Wild, and Nick was like
Oh,
praising Amber Wild, which was really cool because he was like, Evan's like my brother, and I love that I don't have to lie to him and tell him he's good because he
because he
actually
actually
is
is.
good. But and then Allison was commenting on how everybody's kind of musical in some way, and Sophie has some songs, but now she's writing for other musicians, whatever. And then she got to Nick and was like, and you've sung and stuff, and you're pretty good. Are you gonna do any music? And he was like, well, I'm not as good on stage or whatever. And he said, but I do have some stuff out there. It's just under a different name.
Yes,
And
this year he said he released some stuff this year under a
a
pseudonym,
pseudonym. And I have to find out. I have to
and
find out what it is.
and it's funny because he said maybe later on this year I'll talk more about it. Well, it's December 9th, or I guess
Yeah.
at that time December 2nd. So it's like it's December, man. It's the end of the year. Tell us. I want to
Tell
know.
us.
I
It's
want to
just
hear.
crazy to me that there's music out there made by Nick Simmons, but under a different
Oh yeah,
name.
and he's made music before and released
Yeah.
and recorded, but this I want to
This
know
is
what
like
it
a
is.
secret.
I want to know what it sounds like. I want to know why he's kind of keeping it low
Yeah.
key.
Very
It's very
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah. So I like that moment as well. As far as the show itself, it was a great Kiss show. I mean, like you said, there was really nothing unexpected. I kind of have mixed feelings about that, but I really understand all sides. I know a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are a little upset that there was not, any set list changes or any really mention of previous members or any kind of big emotional moment.
Yeah,
Um, I see both sides because I definitely understand that, but I understand where Kiss was coming from too. Um, I think fans were looking for closure, and Kiss didn't want to give closure
mm,
because they
mm.
are obviously focused on this next era
Okay.
and focused on the future, and they always have been. They've never been ones to
They've
focus
never
on the
been really.
past
Yeah, yeah.
ever. Like I mean, for better or for worse, like even as much as I'm sure they were sad personally, like even when band members died or left or whatever, it was always pretty quick to move on to the next
You
thing.
have to. That's
You know what I
life.
mean?
Yeah.
And that is life. But I feel like they've never been one to get too caught up in the emotions of things and kind of stay in that sadness. They're always moving on to the next thing. Um, Personally, would I have liked at least one, kind of tearjerker moment? Sure, of course I would. I think even just one moment like that would have kind of put everybody at ease a little more. But at the same time, I understand why they didn't. There was a couple moments, where Paul was talking about New York specifically.
Yes,
Um,
that was fun.
that was one of my favorite parts where he's talking about, which I hear he did it both nights, but that doesn't matter to me. Where he was talking about, remembering seeing his parents up here and Gene's mom over here.
That was.
That was really cool.
He said
That
the first time we were here was 77. I
Yeah,
can think back to seeing, and that was the moment where Gene said he was like, ah,
yeah, and I think that's the only moment during the show, and I didn't really tear up, but that's the only moment that actually
yeah.
got me emotionally a little bit. But I feel like they were intentionally trying to avoid that stuff.
I think so too. Which it's odd for me because when I think back to that last Kiss pay per view in 2000 that came
Hmm.
out, boy, even today I will cry watching that.
Really?
Even though I know Kiss continued on for 20 more years,
Yeah.
listening to the conviction in Paul's voice when he thanks the Kiss Army,
Yeah.
but at the same time, there's also desperation in there
Yeah.
because he says, "Don't forget us,"
Because they didn't want to leave.
because yeah, there was like clamoring
Yeah.
almost during that first farewell tour because you could tell there was so much left in the tank
Yeah.
and they were just kind of like forcing themselves to say goodbye
Yeah.
and really soaking it in. But notice how Kiss didn't say goodbye at the end of the show,
No.
or they always say good night. right? Like there's always the final. There was none of that. There
Yeah.
was 1, 2, 3, and then the new era began.
Right.
So it
I
was
think that was all very
it was
intentional.
very
Yeah.
intentional. And it wasn't clear to me until afterwards.
Yeah.
I think watching the pay-per-view back a second time helped
Yeah.
because it
Now
kind
that
of
you know what was going to come. Yeah.
well, not only that, but it helped me after seeing it and after like seeing what I saw, I can now notice things that I did not see.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I felt like I had only perceived maybe like 3/4 of it. Now that I've seen it again, I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm digesting
Yeah.
things a little bit better. And for instance, whenever they did, say 1, 2, 3 and begin the new era, I was really upset because you have this incredible transition and this incredible display happening, this incredible visual that's happening, brand new, and it's important. This is the whole reason for everything now,
Yeah.
and there's all this smoke.
Just completely obscuring the screen
And so
for a
I
while.
mean, I get it, but like, well, guess what? Now I understand. What they usually do at the end of the show is they smash the guitar. Paul says good night, and then they blow everything up, and then Kiss disappears into darkness.
Yeah.
Lights go off.
Yeah.
I watched it back, and it looked like they intentionally disappeared into the mist
Oh, okay.
because they were on
Oh, very
stage,
dramatic.
and Paul even said, "This
Lights
is
didn't go out, did they?
no." And when they did, it was only so that the video could turn on.
Right.
It was literally like 1 second after another.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, real quick. Do you have anything else to say about the show, or can we get to the
I might. Okay, yeah. So as far as the show itself, like I said, it was a fantastic show. For the most part, I did notice, and I'm assuming this was just the pay-per-view. The audio was really weird the whole time.
the feed issue? Yeah,
Yeah, so, well, first off, Tommy's mic was like either off or just very low almost the whole time, which really bothered me.
yeah.
Because there was moments where, you see him singing and singing back up into the mic, and yet I am only hearing Eric and Gene. So that really bothered
Jeans was
me.
very loud.
Jeans was extra loud, like almost too loud.
Ah.
Yes, that cracked me up. So yeah, that really bothered me. I hope it wasn't like that live. I don't know if it was or not. But then yeah, the feed, I don't know if there was just a delay or a reverb, but
Reverb.
because of the reverb, it almost felt like the guitar was always a little bit behind the drums, and it really bothered me. I don't think it actually was. I think just that reverb made it feel disjointed. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but I know that wasn't Kiss. I think that was just the audio for the pay-per-view. And then another thing, and this is also not Kiss's fault, but the camera angles and things like that, I really liked that we had cameras on stage. That was really cool. So we got
Oh, and they were high quality
yeah,
too.
so we got a lot of really awesome close-ups. But at the same time, you could tell that it was not Kiss's camera crew doing this, and it was the pay-per-view camera crew.
Right, it was just kind of random shots.
Yeah, it was kind of
throughout.
random shots, and they, kind of missed a lot of big moments. They were far back when they should have been zoomed in on this really important moment of the show. But, they're not the Kiss camera crew, so they didn't know. So not a huge deal, just something I noticed. But as far as the show, I mean, the show was solid. They had a lot of great energy. Gene was very energetic. Eric was killing it.
Eric Singer every day, all the time, 24/7.
Yeah,
Eric
no.
Singer cannot be stopped.
No,
Dude,
he was on top of the world.
which bothered me because his drum solo experienced a lot of issues too, because it sounded like the PPV mics were picking up the concert mics or whatever, and there was like competing feed,
weird.
and one of Eric's kick drums sounded like it was off, low, or just missing, or I don't know. It was weird, and I hated that because even though I could tell and hear he was playing exactly, you could put it on mute, and I'd be like, you know what I mean? I can hear that, you know what I mean? But I was like, but for everybody else, I was like, gosh, dang it! Again, I'm pretty sure, like you said, it was fine during the actual show,
right, live, yeah.
but for the PPV folks,
yeah, but
and
he
again,
was doing some funky stuff.
But
he was just spicing everything.
And I know
up.
we're talking about some of these errors that happen with production and with Gene flubbing lyrics and all that, but this is just rock and roll.
Yeah,
this is the nature of live shows.
Absolutely,
and it's always interesting to me how people will. In 77 or 75, if Ace misses a note, oh, it's fine. It's Ace. It's Kiss. It's rock and roll. It's blah. But if something happens nowadays,
no, we expect perfection now.
We expect perfection, but yet we want the live aspect. We want the rock and roll.
Yeah.
But when something live happens, were so quick to complain, and I think that's why Paul was using tracks this whole
I
tour
was I was about to say, I was like, because
because
if he does do live, then he gets flack for his voice,
and
but
why
if he uses tracks, he gets flack for that.
yeah, so why risk your health and why, damage yourself even more just to please some online troll who, let's face it, can't be pleased.
Right.
There's no reason for that.
Right.
Okay, you want consistency? I'll give you consistency,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably the reason why, some of those things are happening. But it's just funny to me how Kiss fans, and I mean, and we did it too, talked about all the errors and all that. There's so much things that you can talk about and complain about when there's so much good happening and so much awesomeness that
Yeah.
sometimes we get bogged down by what's happening here that we let it overshadow and overtake.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I wanted to watch it a second time because I was like, now that I know there isn't going to be some spectacular song or just one song or one moment, I can just enjoy the Kiss show,
Yeah.
yeah, as it were.
Yeah, and I wish that everybody had been able to fully enjoy it. I think a lot of people kind of broke their own hearts with their expectations going into this. Like just assuming that there is going to be some big change or some big emotional moment when let's be real, they never implied in any way
They
that
didn't.
this was going to be anything other than a Kiss show. In fact, I mean, there's been moments over the last couple of months where Gene and Paul have said things in interviews like, we're going to end this how we started it. 4 guys on stage,
Mm,
playing rock and roll.
yeah,
And I don't think people were listening when they said that. I think they still had themselves convinced that there was going to be something extra special. And I understand, like, that would have been really cool, but I just think a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth because of that. Whereas I don't know, we kind of set those expectations for ourselves going into this. And I think Kiss kind of left it up to the fans to make their own special moments in these last few shows. And I think the people that really did that got the most out of it.
yeah.
Because the people, like, I mean, I know you guys were in Rosemont, not New York, but like what you did with Road to Rosemont, like meeting up with everybody. Yeah, I'm sure the Kiss show was great. It was one of the best
Oh,
ones
it was the
the
best.
best one you've seen. But even then that wasn't necessarily the best part. The best part was you guys, meeting each other in
Right.
person and like having this special moment and this special bond. And I think the people that did that and kind of focused on their friends and the camaraderie of the Kiss Army are the ones who enjoyed it the most.
Yeah. And going back to what you were talking about earlier, talking about the expectations and all that,
Yeah.
I think, at the beginning of the tour, it seemed like the band was very open to having other members possibly come out on
Yeah, I
stage.
don't think they had planned it
There was
fully.
no
Yeah.
plans. Uh, they reached out to Peter and Ace. They said no. Ace said he was never called. You can believe whoever you want. Doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it was very clear. Towards the last year or two has been very clear
Yeah.
that it's just going to be Tommy and Eric.
Yeah.
Um, Peter, doesn't seem to want to be involved respectfully.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be involved. Neither one of them wanted to be involved with the Annie documentary. Gina Paul said you can say what you want, and we won't stop you. And it's yours. They said no, we don't want to be a part of it. Peter wouldn't even let him have the copyright for Beth.
Yeah.
The copyright for Beth was pulled for the pay per view. I don't know if that was Peter or not, or just a regular issue, but it's things like that that just kind of that get in the way. It does get in the way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, Ace said some really out there stuff in the news
Yeah.
that you can't take back,
No,
and
he
it's in print and it's on record forever. And why would you want to bring somebody like that out on stage and
yeah.
pretend like everything's fine?
Yeah, he burnt his bridges multiple times.
Well, and he said he wanted $1 million. He said, "I'll show up for $1 million." That right there would be like me. If somebody said, "Oh, Xander, I love your gold records, man. How much do you want for them each?" I said, 20,000 apiece. Okay, Xander, come on, Xander. They're not worth that much. Come on, give me a real offer. Give me no. If you want them that much and you really want my records, 20,000 apiece. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I can't give you that, so I guess I'll just have to pass.
Yeah.
That to me is like what I hear when Ace says he wants $1 million because Kiss grossed $6 million
Hmm.
for this show in December. I'm not sure if that number is for across both shows or just one. Either way, 6 million. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And Ace wants a sixth of that just for showing up and playing one song.
That's crazy.
Bite me,
That's crazy.
bite me. Bye. Don't need you. See ya.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff that's going to ruin or prevent there from being any special guests. And let's
Yeah.
face it, if you're not going to have Peter and Ace there,
No, don't have anybody else.
don't have you
No.
can't bring Bruce out. And are they really going to bring Vinnie Vincent out? It's like,
No.
look, I'm not.
That
I'm
never would have happened.
no look, and I'm not here to be disrespectful to anybody
No.
because that's not me. That's for other people and all that. I'm just here for the facts, and the facts is that there have been a few members who have tried to sabotage Kiss a few times. You cannot risk bringing that into the fold at
No,
all,
why would you?
at all. You have between all those guys, you have way too many egos, way too many, selfishness and
Just bad history.
bad
Like,
history. You know what I mean? Nobody, we don't need anybody coming out on stage trying to steal spotlight, trying to, make it their night, make it their moment. It's not about them. It's about Kiss.
yeah.
And they had the videos of of all band members played during Deuce and Do You Love Me? And I think there's one more song too where they had old footage playing. I think there was like three times
Yeah.
where you see Eric Carr, Bruce Kulick. I know one's during the Sway,
Yeah.
during Deuce, and then there's during Do You Love Me? There's a clip package. I think there's one more spot, but either way, so we're not gonna get a complete list of thank yous from everybody. And I thought it would have been cool during I don't know what song, it doesn't really matter. Maybe that's why, because there's just no real spot for it without it being cringy. But I thought it would have been cool to have some sort of video that says, thank you, and then you have, Bill Aucoin,
Yeah.
and then with a rest in peace or
Yeah.
whatever, and it says, manager.
Yeah.
Or Neil Bogart
Right.
and JR and Sean Delaney, of course,
Mhm.
and Peter and Ace, absolutely, all the members. But as soon as you start doing that, like right there was like 10 names, 10, 15 names.
The list would be huge.
Well, where
And it wouldn't.
where do you stop?
Yeah.
Because if
And
you're gonna put in, look, if you're gonna put in Mark St. John and Vinnie Vincent, who were there for one or two albums, you better be putting Anton Figgin
right. Right.
and Bob Kulick,
Yeah.
who were there just as much. But you also have Desmond Child,
Right.
who has, written songs and is responsible
For some of the biggest
for
hits.
some of the biggest hits
Yeah.
ever. And you better think about Araldo. You
Who?
say you say who's Araldo? We mentioned him in the solo album episode.
Yes.
He was the guy who painted the
Okay.
solo album covers. What about the guy who designed the Kiss Army logo?
Yeah.
He just passed away this past year, a couple months ago, and I didn't talk about it, and I didn't really hear anybody else talk about it that much. And yet, that man designed the most iconic logo in history, besides the
Yeah.
actual logo
Yeah.
itself. And then you have again Araldo, who designed the solo album covers. You have King Kelly, put him up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to see his name up there.
Yeah.
What about the road crew?
Yeah.
Let's forget. Let's face it. Okay, so Neil and all those guys and people, yeah, they're great and they were there in the beginning, but it's the road crew that puts that show up and takes
Every
that show
single night.
down every single night and has for who knows how long. I want every single name to flash on that screen, and if not, then you're not doing it. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Right. They can't win.
It's my point being made. If
Yeah.
you want a long laundry list of thank yous, go look at Gene's solo album.
Yeah.
Gene's solo album from '78 has a laundry list of people that he thanks. They were not making this into a variety show or
No.
some sort of, cry fest.
Yeah.
Because there was no goodbye.
No. And I think at the end of the day, that your point, you have a really good point. Because if they did start to do something like that, there's always somebody that's going to be left out that people are going to be mad about.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, they can't win no matter what they do in any of this situations. Like, I've seen people's different opinions, which you're entitled to. If you are upset, that is so valid. I understand. But it's just interesting because I've seen such opposite opinions on everything. Like, one person will say that they feel this way, and the other person will be like, well, I feel the exact opposite. So they really could not win.
Kiss will not please everyone.
No, they never can. So
For me, what they did was, so rather than disappointing everybody, they pleased no one. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So as to not disappoint anybody,
Yeah.
they did not go out of their way to make it some cry fest and some whatever. They said, keep in mind, it still was a show for the masses. Yes, there were diehards there, and yes, there were diehards watching, but it was still a sort of like a mainstream concert in a mainstream setting in a mainstream. I would not be surprised if in 2024 you start getting little private shows of Gene and Paul, maybe either together or separate. I know Paul did his little acoustic show on the Kiss Cruise where he talked to the crowd and did, some songs. And then, of course, Gene's Vault experience where he
Mm-hmm.
brought literally every member of Kiss out
Yeah.
and did some songs and told stories. I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff happens.
Yeah.
And that stuff is going to be for us diehards.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with this new era. In the next episode, we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth. Jeb and I are going to get together and do that. But I don't know. I would like to think that Gene and Paul are just not going to sit down and that. And if they do, fine. They've earned it. They've
Right.
earned it. If they want to sit down and whittle away, or wither away, that's fine. That's their
Yeah.
decision
They
because they
deserve to
put
rest or
they
move
put
on
in
to something else.
yeah, they put
Yeah.
in their work.
Yeah.
But it would not be surprise me if they get the itch. Like, look, I know we're not going to go back on tour, but like, I still want to be in front of fans.
Yeah.
I still want to play these songs.
And
I
have that
still want to see
connection.
you, and I
Yeah.
still want to, make a little bit more money and maybe sell some more paintings and just whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I know that for a lot of Kiss fans, there are some people who are in this very like discontent mood, but it's not gonna last. Okay,
No.
it's not gonna last. How are you on notes right now as far as like messaging? Are you good to
We
go?
can move on to
Okay,
the big
because
topic.
to me it felt like when I watched, like, we're at Rock and Roll Night right now, and it's looking like, okay, obviously there's going to be no new um, additions to the show. I'm kind of thinking that I'm wanting more.
Yeah.
Like it left me wanting more,
Mm-hmm.
and that more happened as soon as Kiss exited the stage,
Yeah.
basically. Because what happened was, we talked about the Mist already, where they're on stage, and Paul said, "Kiss Army, we're not going away. You're going to see us in all different ways, in all kinds of fashions for all time.
Yeah.
See you in your dreams."
I loved that.
Which
I did
I
love
said,
that.
"What?"
I loved See You in Your
He
Dreams.
said, "We're not going away. You're going to see us live on in many different ways. We'll see you in your dreams."
Yeah.
And then you hear the 1, 2, 3, and then by then the mist has already came up, and like you just watch Gene, Paul, and Tommy just disappear into
Mm-hmm.
the fog. And then unfortunately the fog didn't quite clear up before the big reveal. But as soon as Paul says 1, 2, 3, we see in a very Creatures of the Night-esque landscape 4 avatars emerge from the mist, and we hear the Star Child say, "Kiss Army, your love, your power has made us immortal. The new Kiss era begins now." And then we hear, "Oh yeah," from the demon, and then we get this really dope hero pose.
Now, unfortunately, we did not hear that first bit on the pay-per-view. We've seen videos of it now, and obviously we saw the videos that were posted straight after. But
I feel like I felt like I did hear it in the original pay-per-view.
really, because I mean, we
I know.
rewatched it just now on the pay-per-view, and you
Yeah.
could see his mouth moving, but you could not hear that first line. And I don't remember hearing that first line the night that it was live.
For sure, maybe not.
I only remember seeing that when I watched the video that was posted. But I'm sorry, that line, Paul saying "immortal" in that like super villain way.
Has made us immortal.
For a hero, it was very villainous.
I love it.
It was pretty dope.
That literally just replays on loop in my brain.
It's-
Paul saying "immortal."
Your
Has made us immortal.
So good.
the new Kiss era begins now. Oh yeah! And then like fire from the eyes, fire from the mouth,
Bat
and then they
wings.
literal bat wings, no flaps on capes, no wires, no nothing. And then they strike a hero pose, and then they start to play "God Gave Rock and Roll to You."
Mhm.
And at this point, I don't even know what to say.
No, we had no idea what was happening. I feel like I was in shock. I was like, I don't know what I'm watching right now, but my eyes are glued to the screen.
I was like, wait, what is happening? And so when they get the close up of him, you can clearly tell that it's animated,
Yeah.
like 3D CG
Mhm.
characters,
Yeah.
and very like half superhero, half rock and roll. Which, I mean, that's what Kiss is, right? Well, no, they're full superhero, full rock and roll.
Right.
But it was like, I wish I could describe it because it felt like, not gonna lie, this might sound weird, but it felt like playing a new Mortal Kombat game.
Okay, yeah.
Where you're like, ooh, what? Whoa, look at the graphics on this.
Right, this looks so much better.
Oh, look at the outfit, look at the
Yeah.
character, look at the design.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, so is this how it's going to be now? They're going to live on in this digital world? And then they flash the uncanny image of the avatars,
Yeah.
which we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, wait a minute. And there was no, which I love that because again, Kiss never quits. Kiss never has quit. A lot of other bands, they tour for a little bit and then they stop and then they come back and then they do another tour. Kiss was literally on tour and releasing albums for almost every year. And even when they weren't releasing albums, they were always doing something as far
Yeah.
as like on the road doing a tour or doing some, like the box sets or the soundboards or the big Kiss Monster coffee book or the, whatever it was, they were always doing something. And so even at the end when Gene and Paul and Tommy and Eric make their exit, Kiss still hasn't, not 1 second has gone by where there's been no Kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which to me is crazy,
Yeah.
which I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because, I know some fans are thinking, whoa, too soon, which maybe it was. I don't know. But how weird would it have been if that was... It would have been really weird if they just did Rock and Roll Night, they closed it, and that was it.
Yeah. And then later...
And it was just silence. Because then I think a lot of fans would have been... I know I would have been let down. I was like, that's how you're ending this end of the road? But that's not, no, but they didn't. They ended the road by starting the new one.
Yeah.
I was like, snap!
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh! Like, I just didn't know what to think.
It checks out. I mean,
I didn't know what to think.
Consistent with...
I still don't know what to think.
Yeah. I'm still not sure either, but it makes sense to me that they did it immediately.
Oh,
and
yeah,
not
yeah.
like, the next day or weeks later or whatever. I don't think that anybody would have really cared if this happened like 6 months down the line.
Oh, I think it would have been worse, honestly.
Yeah.
Because at least we know. You know what I mean? Like, at least if you're a fan that says, okay, this is my time to exit, I'm done.
Yeah.
I will forever, I'll rest on my laurels. I'll live with my memories.
And that's so valid.
If
this is not for you, I know this is weird, and we still are not sure how we feel. But if you're just totally turned off by this, that is fine. You don't have to go to whatever event this is. You don't have to engage with this. You still have 50 years worth of Kiss music and media and concert footage and things that you can continue to indulge in. It really bothers me that some people are so bothered by this that they're just like throwing a lifetime of fandom away. I
read somewhere where someone said, I feel like my 45 years of Kiss fandom has gone down the drain. It's all for nothing, all useless. I'm like, what? I was like, if you feel that way, that's you. That's how you feel. I don't control anybody else's emotions.
Like you said earlier, I think that will pass for most people.
It's gonna pass.
Because, let's face it, these 50 years, they've done lots of things to piss you off.
This has been happening. When the makeup came off in 83, fans said, nope, I'm done. The one thing that made Kiss Kiss, you've removed it.
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And then when they brought it back, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then when the Peter and Ace exited and you have Eric and Tommy, fans said, okay, I'm done. Yeah. It's not for me. I'm done. And that's fine. But I would wait just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to happen is for someone to write this off and then regret it later. Yeah. And I know what you're saying. Oh, I'm not going to regret it. That's fine. You may not, but you never know. What I don't want people to do is to miss out.
Yes. Well,
you know what I mean?
Like
because
so many people have missed out on modern Kiss.
I think a lot of people have missed out on some really cool stuff in the past 20 years.
Just because of stubbornness.
Because of their, harboring feelings towards a certain lineup as if it detracts from everything else that came before it. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Does liking Tommy and Eric, detract from any of your love or any of the respect that is deserved to be given to Peter and Ace? No, of course not. Because it doesn't negate or undo anything that Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick did. You know what I mean?
No, we're adding to the legacy. We're not taking anything away.
No. And you can't take away from the... You can't. That's the whole point of, I think, this new era is that you can't kill Kiss. Yeah. Kiss will not die, even when members have died, even when members will die. Yeah. Kiss will in some way live on.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think Gene and Paul are selfishly humbly selfish. I'm not sure how you want to look at that, but they are so in love with what they've done that they can't imagine a world without Kiss.
Yeah.
But they don't care if anybody remembers their name.
Yeah.
Or Peter and Aces for that matter. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they care about Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace. I think they care about the demon, the Star Child. As long as what Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace created
Mm-hmm.
lives on, that's what matters to them.
Yeah.
Because I think they see Kiss now as, you know, I mean, obviously more, it's been this way, more than a band.
Way more.
It's more than a brand.
Yeah, I was going to say, brand isn't even...
Brand isn't even...
That's not even enough
you know,
anymore.
I mean, there is Kiss that is a band, and you have the brand side of things, but you also have just the lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's just...
Just like the lore, the
just
history.
the life.
Yeah.
It's it.
Yeah.
It's Kiss. It's just it. It just is. It just is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Gene and Paul, you mentioned or the fans. You know, they were so adamant about the fans. They weren't worried about the band themselves. Talking about Eric and Tommy and Gene and Paul and Peter and Ace or anybody else. They were talking about the fans the whole time. At the end, Gene was just speechless. He said, "It's all about the fans." He goes, "Without the fans, we're just some guy asking if you want fries with that."
Yeah.
And then he just stopped and it was like, I don't know what else to say. He goes, I'm at loss for words for a guy who likes to suck up oxygen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was really funny. But I liked the emphasis they put on the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned how the fans making their own fun and doing their own things. That may have been the whole reason for the takeover in New York.
Mm-hmm.
With it's like you the fans get together with your friends and your family and your new friends and go get the New York Post, get the pizza box, go visit the pop-up stores.
Yeah.
I know some folks were talking about how they ran into like Nick. We're posting pictures of like
Yeah.
just saw Nick on the streets or whatever, and that was super cool. So it's like that was the whole experience. You know what I mean? I think the band has realized that they can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think over the last handful of years, it really has become less about the band. Not for me, but I think like the Kiss Cruises, for instance. The Kiss Cruises, it seems like I didn't get to go, but just on the outside looking in, it's less about the band and what they're going to play and what they're going to wear, what they're going to do. And it's more about I get to see this person and that person who live in this part of the country that I haven't seen since the last cruise, who I only get to see on the next cruise.
Right.
So it's more about meeting up with your friends and meeting up with, your people, your crew, your Kiss crew, and the band is like a backdrop to it.
Right.
And I think it's kind of funny. I think when we were doing the Road to Rosemont series, I could be wrong, but I think when we were on the Rob's channel, I think a question might have been asked like that, like, are you more excited about the band or are you mainly going for, the people? And while, yes, I did only get a ticket because I wanted to meet up with Rob, I've always wanted to see Kiss because I want to see Kiss.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you want to come with me to see Kiss, or if I see you there, that's fine.
Right, and that enhances the experience.
It does.
Yeah.
If I don't, then that sucks for me and it sucks for you, but we will live.
Right.
And we'll still see the greatest friggin' show on earth.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, and there have been times where I want to meet up with somebody, but I can't, and I'm like, that's okay.
Right.
It doesn't ruin my experience because Kiss was here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think the band has watched as, all the fans on the Kiss cruise get together. And then when they play on stage, it's always, well, they didn't play this, they didn't play that. There was, not too many deep cuts. Wasn't enough deep cuts.
Right.
They should have played this and not that. Why did Paul, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, why are we even wasting our time?
Right.
When clearly the fans have taken power. I think Paul even said that. The band and Kiss belongs to the fans.
Yeah.
And so the fans are now taking control. Us with our podcast, I mean, how many Kiss podcasts are there? Where, I mean, we were sitting here cutting up paper, making the Kiss spotlight, you know what I mean? I'm waiting on the wax pack from Rick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that stuff, I think. When Pasquale gets with his friends, together, they're always doing, parties and events and yes, Kiss is the center and it's the reason for the season or the reason for the event, you know what I mean? But what makes it so worthwhile is who you're with.
Yeah, it's the connection.
And that's one of the reasons why I think
Kiss brings people together, and
the
that's
pay-per-view
what's so
for
special
me
about it.
wasn't that spectacular because it was just me by myself.
Yeah.
Had you been there, had Jen been there, maybe it would have been. No, no. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that I'm getting my emotions in check.
Yeah.
And making sure that I understand why I'm feeling the way I feel.
Yeah.
Because I feel like right now there's a lot of high tension and emotions within the Kiss Army right now because of the lack of thank yous to former members, or
Yeah.
they didn't bring anybody out, or
Lack of closure.
lack of closure, which
Yeah.
again, there's not closure
Right.
because nothing's
That's
going away.
literally the point.
It's literally the
It's
point
going over everybody's heads.
is that, Kiss is going to continue on, and we and it's too early to judge what's going to happen
Right.
because
We haven't seen it yet. We've seen a video.
I wouldn't be surprised if what we saw and what we have seen is all that's done. You know what I mean? Like for instance, when you watch a movie trailer,
Mm-hmm.
when you watch a movie trailer, that's all that's done. All the visual
Oh,
effects.
okay. I see what you mean. Sorry,
Yeah.
I misunderstood what you were saying.
Like
Yes.
I think that all we've seen is
Yeah.
all that's been done.
No, I think I think that is probably true.
Yeah. We're watching like the very early development stages.
Right. I think it's probably only going to get better because
it has to. If not, then it's not going to be worth it.
Right. Well, because even I don't know. I mean, I don't know if are we ready to get into the Avatar stuff, or did you have other thoughts?
I mean, we're here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because even just like that, like you said, that kind of uncanny valley shot of the four of them at the end.
Yeah.
Even that shot, like to me, was worse than some of the moments in the video.
Yeah.
So I do feel like they're still working it out, and I do feel like it's just gonna get better from here. And I don't
They have
think,
to.
and I don't think we quite know what we're in for yet.
No, I don't think so either.
So I can't really make judgments.
They have to get better because if not, it won't be worth it.
Right.
And that's the thing that they need to keep in mind. And by they, I mean Lucasfilm, because Lucasfilm is the one that's
well, yeah,
overseeing
ILM,
this.
which is owned by Lucasfilm.
ILM,
yeah.
which is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
So it's I mean they're never going to say it.
Yeah.
But if KISS is working with Lucasfilm, that means that Disney as the parent company is over this in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
But I think that we're in the early development stages. I think all we've seen is all that's done. So if somebody out there is watching, listening, you need to fix the expressions. They're lifeless. They're looking past me and through me, not at me.
Yeah.
We need expression. We need poses. They literally are just showing the deadpan sculptures of the faces.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna lie, they're incredibly rendered.
Still cool.
They are like you can look at them and go, I see skin.
Yeah.
I see pores.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Their hair, the lighting is the best part.
It's insane.
When you look at I don't think people understand just how much goes into rendering and lighting and 3D modeling.
Yeah.
I don't even, but I guarantee I know more than you, and it is absolutely intense.
Yeah.
And there's a 30-minute video that KISS uploaded where they talk with the guys, where Gene and Paul talk with the guys from ILM about it. We intentionally did not watch that for this video because we wanted our raw thoughts.
Yeah.
These are our raw thoughts, when we saw what we saw.
Just
and
based
that's
on
it.
what's been shown.
And based on some of the posts that have been posted. That's it.
Yeah.
In the next episode, Jeb and I are going to be doing an in-depth episode on this together over a conference call. And what we want from you guys is to leave your thoughts, your questions, and your concerns over the avatars, the 3D era, and this new KISS era. Because what Jeb and I are going to do is we're going to use your guys's, we're going to use some of our thoughts too, but we want to use your guys's comments, your guys's thoughts, feelings, emotions, and whatever, as a basis and as a guide. We're going to read them, we're going to look at them, and then Jeb and I we're gonna filter through them and we're gonna sift them out, and then we're just gonna talk about this and unload this and unravel this as is for right now. Because I know that there are a lot of tensions and a lot of emotions running high right now, but nobody's wanting to really just kind of settle the dust. You know what I mean? So what we're gonna do? We are one. We're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, on the next episode, leave your comments on this episode about what your first impressions are, what your impressions are now, and what you hope to see and what you want to see, what you think they could do, what are your red flags, what are your green flags, all about that stuff. Because like I said, we're going to sift through that and we're going to use that as our basis and our template. And I don't care if you love it. I don't care if you hate it. Just please be responsible, be respectful, be mature. What Jeb and I want to do is maturely and just openly discuss this.
Yeah.
Because this is the biggest transition not only in history, but more specifically my history.
Right, that we've lived through.
I've known nothing but peaceful water. Some of you guys were there when Peter and Ace they said they were there. Like you see Ace on the Creatures of the Night album cover, but then you see a different guy on tour. And then the next year, they got no makeup at all. and they have 2 or 3 more guitar players coming in, and it's just all that stuff, right? And then of course I was really young when this happened, so I was kind of there, but wasn't really cognitively aware of what was going on. But when Peter and Ace had left post farewell, and Eric and Tommy came in the band, so there have been some pretty monumental changes and transitions in history. But for me personally, this is the biggest one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because I've always known ever since '06 is when I found out definitely or definitively about the current lineup. Like, oh snap, they got Eric Singer in the band now with Tommy Thayer. This might actually work. That was '06. Okay. So ever since then, I've known nothing but peaceful waters. None of that drama crap. And whenever it comes up, I just throw it away because it's always external.
Yeah.
There has been no internal drama from the band between Gene, Paul, Eric, and Tommy this whole time. And that's been great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we don't even have Gene, Paul, Eric, and Tommy. It's just representations of them. So it's weird. It's weird. I'll tell you what, if it sucks, we'll never discuss it again. But I can't.
Well, we don't know.
But I
We
can't
won't
say
know.
that. I can't say that. So for me, for right now, just so we can wrap this up because this is getting pretty long and we still got other stuff to get to. I'm interested.
Yes,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
And dare I say, I'm a little excited. Right now, it's got my imagination going.
Yeah.
Because Gene, after the show, when he was hugging Sophie, she said, she said it was a great show. It was one of the best. And he goes, did you see the end? The end? Even the post? She goes, yeah, I saw it. He goes, that's the new thing now. We're going to live on in fantasy
He's really
stuff.
excited about it.
He said, we're going to live on in fantasy stuff.
Yeah, and
that was his verbiage.
He also said in a different clip, it's going to be the best concert you've ever seen. So that was the confirmation I needed that this is going to be a live show.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure a lot of people know this, but I feel like I have to bring it up in case people don't. This type of thing has been done once before, not by this. They're the first U.S. band to do it, but by ABBA. So if you're not familiar with that, look it up. But about maybe 2 years ago, a year or two ago at this point, ABBA did the same thing where they had avatars. They called them avatars, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But they had the same kind of live show with like these avatars as like holograms, I think.
Yeah.
I believe the way they did it is they had some live musicians so that the music that's being played is still live. It's not, I don't think it's ABBA necessarily, but it's still live. And then the avatars, I'll be honest, I heard nothing but great things. I heard it was a fantastic show. I heard it was mesmerizing. The light show was crazy. It was very realistic and cool. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Because I have a basis for this kind of thing, that's why I have a little bit of hope. I'm still kind of, remaining neutral until I know more.
Mm-hmm.
But because I know that someone has pulled this kind of thing off before successfully and people have liked it, I feel like this could be cool. I'm excited. The video's pretty cool, even though it has some weird, uncanny things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And is it the same company that did the ABBA is doing this, right?
Yep.
So basically, they had their guinea pig.
Yeah.
And so this is what works. This is what doesn't. This is what we could do. This is what we have developed.
Yeah.
Now let's put that all into KISS.
Right. And
what they're going to do with KISS is going to be beyond anything ABBA did.
Exactly, because if you think about it, like if that was so successful and well received, how much better is it going to be a couple years later and with KISS?
Yeah.
Like
And yes, there are going to be some fans who are going to say, no, not for me.
And
there's going to be some fans that are going to say,
you don't have to go.
I'm here for it, and I'm going to try it. Yeah. I'm going to try. I'm going to go. And if I like it, I'm going to be like, dude, this is great.
Yeah.
If I walk out not liking it, guess what? Now I know. Right. Save my money. But when I think about who's going to benefit from this, it's by far the future generation.
The next generation, yeah.
You know what I mean? Gene and Paul are at that age where they're retiring. Yeah. Even KISS fans during COVID. There's a reason why my collection spiked during COVID. It's because KISS fans were at that age where they thought, okay, it's time. I need the money.
Stuff, yeah.
KISS is at the end of the road tour. There might be some worth to this stuff now. Not sure in the future, but I know now. And all the kids that left the house, I want to downsize. Your parents did the same thing where all, you moved in here, they downsized and they moved into a different house.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yeah.
So there will be a new era of KISS fans. How big will it be? Will it be like 77 all over again? I don't know. But when I think about who's going to benefit from this, it's our nephews.
Yeah.
We had our nephews on
the
the show, and they're getting into KISS literally just this year. just this year.
That's cool that you say that, because that just like that got me excited even more, because we have talked about how it's a huge bummer for us that we never got to bring them to a
It
Kiss
broke
show,
my heart.
because they were a little young, and they just this year, once we already had tickets for all these shows, have gotten into it.
Yes.
And it just didn't work out. But like that just made me really happy to think that I might be able to take them to some kind of live Kiss experience.
They're gonna eat it up.
They're gonna love that.
It's gonna blow their little minds.
And that's who it's for. And so if you're turned off by this, that's okay. It's not for you. It's just not.
Yeah, exactly. It's
if
fine.
You're not interested, it's not for you, and you have plenty of other things that are.
But I would say give it a chance,
Yes,
because this is not going to compare to what we've seen for 50 years.
No.
This is not the same thing. This is not about trying to discount Kiss or pass this off as the exact same thing.
No.
This is a way to keep the Kiss experience going indefinitely.
Yeah.
Is this not like a Cirque du
Soleil?
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's obviously not the Beatles.
This is not the Beatles, but
this
a live
is a Beatles experience.
Yeah.
And you're hearing the songs and you're seeing.
So that's a really good comparison.
And I haven't been, so I don't know what goes down on that thing. But I know it has to be, because it's still going on all these years later.
Yeah.
So this is what that's going to be. But this is a modern day version of that. That's
a great comparison, because as a huge Beatles fan, obviously I'm 26 years old. I didn't get to see the Beatles.
Saw Paul McCartney though, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
But I got to see Cirque du Soleil, which is still a big part of Beatles history that's been around for a long time.
Yes.
And
it's added so much, and it's helped extend that, because people get to go, because you had always wanted to see that
since I was a little kid.
Because you were a little kid,
yeah.
And as an adult, you got to, because it's been around and it's proven to be good.
Yeah, because what's interesting is one of the first like CDs and albums, maybe not the first, but one of the first Beatles CDs that got me into the Beatles as a kid was the Love Cirque du Soleil soundtrack.
Oh wow.
So ever since then I've wanted to see it, and I'm like, that's a really good comparison, because like this is going to be a gateway for a lot of kids to get in. And then obviously since that, I went back and listened to all the rest of their albums and became a huge fan. And so I think this could be a really cool gateway into Kiss for the next generation. So keep your minds open. I understand the mixed feelings.
Oh yeah, I do, absolutely. Definitely. I feel it too, guys.
Yeah,
I do.
This is a weird moment. We're not sure what's going on and what's going to be next, but I would definitely encourage you to keep your mind open and not come down too hard on this too soon, because you might regret it.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all we got so far. Like I said, next time Jeb and I are going to hash this out together. So we're going to use your guys' comments as a template for the episode. So leave us your immediate thoughts, your current thoughts, and your future thoughts, and what you hope to see come out of this 3D and this new era as it begins. What I want to do now, kind of like we said earlier, Kiss fans, we make our own fun, right?
Yes, we do.
So let's make some fun. We are now announcing the 2023 KISSmas giveaway. Woo! Every single year on Kiss Army Things, this is the third time we do a KISSmas giveaway. And so I thought, well, how cool would it be for this year, since it's our third KISSmas episode going to be coming up? Why don't we have 3 prizes, and we announce 3 winners? So every year we just do, 1 prize, 1 winner. Well, I'll tell you what, third time's a charm. We're going to do 3 winners, 3 prizes. No, there won't be 4 prizes and 4 next year. We're going to just do 1. But
we can't just keep going up forever.
Yeah, this room would be empty. But I still want to have some fun and make this Christmas season extra special for you guys. And so I want to get to the KISSmas giveaway. And what I'm going to do is quickly give you guys. Well, no, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and show you what you guys are going to be winning, what you could be winning. So no, it's not 78 coin era expensive merch. Okay, guys, come on, this is free Kiss merch, and we're just a small YouTube channel, so this is for the fun of it. But anyway, so for our I guess we'll do a third place prize. We have Kiss Alive on cassette. I thought I needed Kiss Alive on cassette, and so I bought this, came home, realized I already have one. And so if you need this to complete your cassette collection, perhaps you're just starting a cassette collection, then this could be yours. I haven't listened to it. Maybe I will beforehand, but the case is it's in good condition. It's rewound. It is just a single cassette. It does fit all of Kiss Alive on here. So that is one of our prizes right here, Kiss Alive on cassette. I'm going to put that right there, and then I'm going to bring out our second place prize, which is one of the 3 Kiss magazines that came out this year. I had such a fun time going out and
Yeah.
buying this and looking for it. And so I got an extra one. And so if you did not get this or you weren't able to go out and get one and you missed it, this is your chance to get a free one. So it's really, really cool. I love the back cover. Really cool shot from 76. Love the S there. And yeah, just really cool stories, really cool photos. And this could be yours as well. I'll put this over here.
Hmm.
So that's our second place prize. And then the first place prize.
Wow, that's hard to say.
I'm having a hard time talking today, guys.
First place prize.
Yeah, first place prize is this KISS poster. I'll do my best to
this is
unroll it,
Can you
but
help?
we have an originals poster here from I think Psycho Circus Farewell Tour. My dad had this. This was my dad's poster, and I just found it recently after a really long time of this being put away, and so he must have had two. True Kiss. I wonder where I get it from.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he must have had two because I already have the same poster over there framed. And so I thought, well, why not give this away to somebody who, like me, loves this era. This was my first era of Kiss right here.
Yeah.
So when I look at this is like my dynasty, my Alive 2, whatever. But anyway, so it is Originals Kiss. There you go. So if you don't have this poster, this could be yours as well. It does have 4 tack holes in the corners. Again, it's a free poster.
Other
What do you
than
want?
that, it's in really great
It's a
condition
great
for how
condition.
long you've
It's a
had
great
it.
poster.
So
I will put it in a tube. When we bought this poster at the merch table, they
in
didn't give
Indy.
us a tube, rubber band, nothing. And so, but how cool does that look, you guys?
Yeah, seriously.
Finally got that frame.
So much better than the last one.
It's so awesome. I love because you said the gold here and the gold Sonic Boom like just matches perfectly. So
Beautiful.
you can't get that poster, but you sure can get this one. So those are our three prizes. How do you enter? All you have to do, it's so easy. Anybody can enter. It's free to enter, has to be, otherwise it's a lottery and that's illegal. So it's free to enter. Anybody can enter all around the world. I will send it out worldwide. I hate shipping worldwide, but you know what? I will do it for you. I did last year, and I actually don't think it went out of state last year, so or out of country, so whatever. But yeah, if you're in Sweden, if you're in UK, if you're in Australia, if you're in South America, if you're in Japan, whatever, we will ship to you. All you have to do is leave a comment, or in your comment say, I want to enter the KISSmas giveaway. That's it. As long as your comment starts with, I want to enter the KISSmas giveaway, you're entered in the giveaway. That can be a separate comment from your KISS avatar comment. It can be in addition to.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Whatever username has a comment that says, I want to enter the KISSmas giveaway, their name will be put into the Star Child hat. And on the next episode, after the one with Jeb, we will draw the winner. You have 1 week. So this episode is going up on the 10th. On the 17th, we will be drawing, and that episode will go up on the 24th. So you have 1 week to enter starting the 10th, and then the drawing will end on the 15th because we're going to be filming. So it has to be finished before we film the next episode, obviously. So 5 days this week, the 10th through the 15th, that's Sunday through Friday. Enter any comment between those times that says, I want to enter the KISSmas giveaway. We will put your name in the Firehouse hat and we will draw 3 names for 3 winners for 3 prizes. So that's what you guys can look forward to coming up. Again, next episode will be a doozy. Jeb and I are going to get real hardcore, real into it, and real open and real honest. So, KISS, Lucasfilm, if you're watching, stay tuned to episode 78, and we will see you guys. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, thank you guys, everybody watching, so much for watching. Hope you guys had an awesome time on this end of the road tour. It has been the absolute greatest KISS tour that I have ever seen. Memories made, moments made. Absolutely incredible. So, is there anything else we need to get to as we're wrapping up? Yes, because I did actually get something this week.
Did you?
And
yes,
it is this
this.
record. So we went to Walmart, and I happened to think, I wonder if the new Icon record is here or it's out yet. And it is. So Walmart has a new exclusive silver black splatter of the KISS Icon CD. They put out the CD, I think maybe last year, and I really didn't care for it because it was kind of basic or whatever. But the vinyl, I thought, I'm gonna get the vinyl. Honestly, it's just it's another KISS record. As far as the track list goes, it's kind of basic as far as the 70s goes, but I did notice that it has one song from, I think, every Kiss album in the 70s.
That's cool.
Except for the first album, which has two.
Right.
So the first two songs, Strutter, Deuce, that's the first album. Harder Than Hell, obviously Harder Than Hell. You have Come On and Love Me from Dress to Kill, Rock and Roll Night from Kiss Alive, Rock City from Destroyer, and Beth from Destroyer. So there's two from
Okay.
Destroyer.
That makes sense.
Hard Luck Woman and Calling Up to Love
Oh,
from
rock
Love
and roll.
Gun, and Love Gun Christine 16 from Love Gun.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you had rock and roll.
Hard Luck Woman
Yeah.
and Dr. Love for Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun Christine 16 from Love Gun, and I Was Made from Dynasty.
Nice.
So at least one or two
from
tracks from every album in the 70s, not counting solo albums, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, kind of basic, but I wanted to feel something. You know what I mean? Again, it's about the fan. You make your own fun.
Exactly.
I went out, I bought this, I came home, listened to it, I loved it. I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and show you.
The black splatter vinyl is actually really, really cool.
It is super awesome.
I like it a lot.
Now, okay, never mind. Yeah, I like this. I've been getting kind of bored with the whole, colored vinyl variants and tie-dye this and that, whether it's Kiss or otherwise. So I just kind of was, not really worried about that. But this is actually pretty
like gray
sweet.
And black.
I hopefully it looks pretty good on camera. But you can see there it does have a nice, cool label there. I absolutely love the black splatter finish. I think it's probably one of my favorites, just because I love black and gray, and it doesn't look, mangled and nasty. It looks tasty.
Yeah.
Looks good. So, yeah, there's that. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to show, but I did want to show that just to kind of end on a high note there. So, my KISSmas came early. Yours is coming next week. Be sure to enter the contest and or the giveaway, and we will see you guys next time. Well, next time, Jeb and I will be doing an episode that will be coming out on the 17th. 17th will be the episode with Jeb and I, and the 24th, Christmas Eve. Daphne and I will be here picking the winners of the 2023 KISSmas giveaway. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope everybody has a great week and a great day and a great Christmas holiday season. My name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
Peace.